What's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today we've got some interesting topics for you guys, so let's go ahead and get right into it. And we're starting off with a huge report on the rumored Resident Evil 4 remake and what we could see from that. Also, Resident Evil Code Veronica, my own speculation on what they're going to do with that and who's going to be leading up the development of that game that's not rumored at this point, not in development, but I have some ideas of what we could see because I do think that Capcom wants to remake that one. But let's first start off with the information on Resident Evil 4 Remake and why it's good news for this game. So VGC is reporting that M2, the Resident Evil 3 remake developers' role in the development of Resident Evil 4 remake has been significantly reduced. Now Capcom Division 1, that's the big boys, has taken over the project. Now the report does mention that there have been some disagreements between Capcom and M2. The former pushed for more changes while the latter prefers a more one-to-one remake because of the backlash from Resident Evil 3 and also the dipping sales of Resident Evil 3, or the lack of sales, I should say more like it. Now VGC also has stated that RE4 Remake is being partially rebooted and will be slated for 2023. So there's a lot of information to digest here. I'm gonna do my best to try to track all of this and put it together for you guys. So first of all, if you wanna read the full story, make sure you check out Video Games Chronicle. I'll have the link in the description. Now let's talk about Resident Evil 4 Remake. Now what they want to do is they probably, what I'm guessing, is they want to take all of the aspects of Resident Evil 4. You have to remember the original GameCube release, then you got the PlayStation 2 release, then there was that extra Ada content that was in there, so you have to try to put that all together in a cohesive package. You also have mercenaries as well, so how are you going to include that? So I think what M2 wanted to do, they wanted to do what they did with Resident Evil 3. Now what I'm hearing, that game had a significant amount of cut content from the original game in order to make development faster and more smooth. And while that's okay, I guess, if you're M2, when you're just thinking about getting a good quality game out with the graphics that they were doing on the RE engine, the gamers kind of get screwed on that one. So with Resident Evil 4, you can't do that, because while Resident Evil 3 is great and all, Resident Evil 4 is what brought the franchise to new levels. The review scores, how people see it, many people still to this day consider Resident Evil 4 to be the best Resident Evil of all time, and I am in that boat. That is my favorite Resident Evil game of all time, and it got me back into the franchise after I stopped playing. That was the game that really made me say, yo, I love Resident Evil. They can't mess this one up. I think just like Resident Evil 2 Remake, that is a game that many people felt was just, oh my gosh, it's so good, and it got amazing sales, and it did so well. You want to have that same respect. You want to have that same type of thing for Resident Evil 4 Remake. You can't have a bad version of Resident Evil 4. So getting all the Ada content, rebooting certain parts of the game that kind of dragged on or were not as fun. I mean, I can probably see them redoing some of the stuff with Ashley and how that worked out. I can probably see them redoing some of the aspects of the pacing of the game and where you go and kind of the combat in there. I do think that partially reboot is going to add in more context and detail into the story that wasn't there before, or was kind of alluded to with different types of logs left behind or other things. So there's a lot that they can do, and I feel that that's the right aspect and way to go. Make it an experience that's not just completely like, okay, we're playing Resident Evil 4 on the RE engine and the graphics look great and that's it. You actually want to make a new experience as well, like they did with Resident Evil 2 Remake, which was just absolutely phenomenal. So I do think that they're going in the right direction here, and I think that it is a right call to bring up Capcom Division 1 to handle this. Now let's briefly talk about Resident Evil Code Veronica. Now this is my own speculation on this, but I do feel that M2 will be moved over to that game if they're going to do it. Now Code Veronica is a game that many fans have been asking to be rebooted, to be remade for multiple years now, for a long time, and I feel that Code Veronica is the perfect game to do so, because while it's a big game and there's definitely aspects to it, I think M2 could handle that. Just hopefully they don't decide to cut the content like they did with Resident Evil 3. But I feel that Capcom will move them over to Code Veronica and get them started on that, and let Resident Evil 4 Remake be handled by Capcom Division 1. So you can efficiently knock out two birds with one stone here, because you have M2 working on Resident Evil Code Veronica Remake, you have Capcom Division 1 handling the big game here, and hopefully they can get that out in the next 2 years. They say that they're aiming for a 2023 release. So I think they'll make it in that amount of time. I think that it's going to be a much better game now at this point, and I think that we can, in the same time, have Resident Evil Code Veronica be released maybe the year after or something like that, or maybe even a year before, depending on how smooth development goes or not. So I do think that there is a lot of positive to be taken from this article here. So what do you guys think about Resident Evil 4 Remake and it being moved over? My speculation on Resident Evil Code Veronica and what you want to see from that. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts in the comment section below. All right, now moving on to the next topic here. We've got an about face, a 180, and it did not take long from Microsoft to see the backlash and the last place or third place in the overall console type of sales to say, okay, we got to change this, because Microsoft announced recently that they would up the price of Xbox Live for new users to $120 a year. It was going to be $59.99 per 6 months, which is a pretty big price jump from what they've had before. Now, what they're doing here, Microsoft is backtracking on all of that. Now, originally, Microsoft was going to increase the prices to 1 month for $10.99, 3 months for $29.99, and 6 months for $59.99, which is quite the jump from what we got before. Now they've said, you know what, we're not doing that. We hear you guys, we're going to change the price. So here is their full update on it. So, quote, "We messed up today. You were right to let us know. Connecting and playing with friends is a vital part of gaming, and we failed to meet the expectations of players who count on it every day. As a result, we have decided not to change Xbox Live Gold pricing. We're turning this moment into an opportunity to bring Xbox Live more in line with how we see the player at the center of their experience. Free-to-play games will truly be free, and you will no longer need Xbox Live Gold membership to play those games on Xbox. We are working hard to deliver this change as soon as possible in the coming months. If you are an Xbox Live Gold member already, you stay at your current price for renewal. New and existing members can continue to enjoy Xbox Live Gold for the same prices they pay today. In the US, $9.99 for 1 month, $24.99 for 3 months, $39.99 for 6 months, and $59.99 for retail 12 months. I think this is one of those things that Microsoft needed to do. With this whole price jump and the backlash that they saw from some of their biggest and most dedicated fans out there that I know that they watch and they listen to and they try to take feedback from, Microsoft is in a position where, like I said, not like console warring here, guys, but they're last place. They've been last place. You know, when you look at it, the Switch, the PlayStation 5, the Xbox One, Xbox is in the least amount when it comes to systems sold. They have to over deliver in terms of what they're doing because of the typical or usual system sales that we see with Nintendo and also with Sony. So I feel that they had to make this change because you had some of their most loyal fans saying, hey, you know what, this is not good. On top of that, like for people who just play like Warzone or who just play free-to-play games, Fortnite and stuff like that, you're gonna increase the price of this. This could drive them to a different system. This could drive them to go play those free-to-play games on a different platform, therefore taking them away from your ecosystem. So I feel that Microsoft had to make this change because with this price hike, you're really just going to say for everybody that just buys it for Warzone or buys it for Fortnite or whatever the case is that, hey, this is the worst place to play it, right? Because of how much you have to pay considering the other systems out there, right? That you can play it and the prices are all somewhat similar when it comes to the system. So to me, I think that Microsoft was kind of cornered in. They had to do this. They're not in a position to where they can make these type of changes. What I felt they were trying to do, and I talked about this on my live streams, that they were trying to corner people into buying Game Pass Ultimate, because if you go with Game Pass Ultimate, it's $120 for that year. You get Xbox Live, you get all the other stuff, so it's a guarantee for them for that. And they're trying to kind of force people's hand when it comes to people who don't buy Game Pass Ultimate and just go with like a 1 month or 3 months or whatever and just kind of pick it up as they see fit to say, hey, you're gonna have to get this now, or you're gonna kind of be getting screwed out of your playtime here when it comes to your free-to-play games or your online multiplayer games. Plus they have Halo Infinite coming out. I mean, it just wouldn't have worked the way that they're going to try to lay it out here. So good on Microsoft for reversing the decision. Good on Microsoft for listening to the fans out there. And I think that this, while it's good, let's see what they do going forward, because you saw that this is what they wanted to do. Maybe they might try something different in the future. Maybe it's not as big of a price jump. I think it was too much and too little of time out of nowhere. If they jumped it maybe by like $10 or something like that, then okay. But obviously this move by doubling it, saying 6 months for $59.99, and if you want 1 year, it's going to be $120. They were obviously trying to push people to Game Pass Ultimate who didn't already have it, because that's where all the value is, and that's where they want people to spend, you know, their online playtime and money would be Game Pass Ultimate, because they've completely devalued their game. They sell the games in the stores, but people just aren't buying them because of Game Pass Ultimate. So they kind of have to go all in on Game Pass Ultimate, and this was one of their ideas to get that done, but it didn't work out. Heck, it didn't even last more than a day. So it is what it is there, but good on Microsoft for actually listening and adjusting and doing the right thing in this case, because that Xbox Live Gold in terms of free-to-play games, that's been a problem for Microsoft for a while now, and they're finally fixing it. So good on them for that. So what are you guys' thoughts when it comes to Resident Evil 4 Remake and what they're doing there? Also, Xbox Live, the reversal of the price hike. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Check out the links in the description. We've got Twitter. Go and give us a follow on there. Stay up to date on all latest gaming news and information. Also, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video if you can. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you for the next one. Peace.